How's it going, everybody? My name is Bo, and I'm a home theater and movie enthusiast. And as you can tell, I am not in my dedicated theater room right now. I am actually sitting in my living room, and there's a reason for that, and actually a few reasons. First off, I just thought it would be cool to show you guys my living room setup. It's where I do all my gaming, all my NFL football watching, and I do watch a lot of TV series up here if they're not like super cinematic. So watching a lot of the old Star Trek series up to Deep Space Nine. I like watching that kind of stuff up here. Don't always want to be down in the theater room, and I'd prefer gaming up here just because that's the one area where I think the best image quality, the best response time. So another reason I'm in my living room is because I wanted to talk about a comparison between my living room and my home theater. I'll explain more later. And then lastly, do I consider a living room setup a home theater? So if you want the answer to that, you're going to have to stay tuned. But before we get into those things, I thought I'd just show you the room first. So I'm going to switch to holding the camera, and we'll show you the equipment and talk about the dimensions and all that. And then we'll come back and get into the video. So here we are walking into the living room from the kitchen, and the lighting's not great in here, but we do the best we can. We got a couple of cats. So starting with the dimensions, it's 18 foot 7 from the back of the wall to the front of the wall, which is about 7-8 inches longer than my theater room, and it's 11 foot 6 inches wide, which is 8 inches wider. The ceiling height is 8 foot even. So if I, wanted to put Atmos speakers, I definitely have more ceiling height. My distance from the couch to the TV screen is about 10 foot 6 inches. And so that's a look at it. It's a 5.1 setup with a 77-inch screen. So let's get into the components now. The TV is an LG C4 OLED. Like I said, it's 77 inches. And I have it wall mounted about 26 inches off the wall. I did that because my old TV was a 65-inch. And on the old stand, it sat on the very front. So it was about the same distance off the wall. Now, if I would have bought this 77-inch and then had it tight to the wall, the viewing angle would have basically been the same as my 65-inch. So I ended up needing to do an extending wall mount just so I could have a greater impact to the increase in size. And I like how it looks. It would look better tight against the wall, but I'd rather have a more impactful improvement to the size and the immersion. Underneath the TV is the Onkyo TXNR676. This was a brand new purchase in 2018, but it was on clearance. I got it for $280, which was a steal. And I previously had a 5 series, a 525, I think, Onkyo, and this was a nice upgrade. Above that is a Definitive Technology Pro 2000 center channel speaker. Now I bought this. I'll show another picture of the old stand. I bought it because it's the only center channel that would fit in that old stand. I have more room now. I could move that shelf down. I could have a bigger center channel, but not really that concerned at this point. I'll talk more about that in the later section as we look at my LCR in my theater room. So my main speakers in here are Polk Audio RTI 38s that I purchased in 2002. And they were my old rear surrounds, which I'll show a picture here in my theater room, in the back room. And these are nice bookshelf speakers. This receiver isn't necessarily enough. It's enough power, but it can't really drive these speakers properly. I'll talk more about that later. Not that it's related to anything, but here is the PS5 Pro. I also have a Nintendo Switch 2 in here. for my gaming needs. Those are the only two systems you need, in my opinion. And then to round out the front, we have my old SVS PB1000 that came from my theater room. So the main speakers and the sub came from the theater room, as well as the side surrounds. These are Polk Audio FXi3s, and again, this is a 5.1, so no rear, no height channels, only one sub. And you know, funny enough, like my theater room is directly below this. I can't remember if I said that, but yeah, this room is directly above, and they're almost the same dimensions, and the one on top of the other. So, but anyway, that's a look at the living room, and now we'll get back and talk about comparing the living room setup with a dedicated home theater. All right, now that you've seen the room, seen the equipment in there, I want to talk about the comparison between having a dedicated home theater and having a living room setup with surround sound, and kind of relates to the last two videos where I was talking about upgrades. And you know, I swapped out my LCR for in-walls, and I put my old tower speakers and center channel up here with when I had my old TV and my old TV stand. And I was immediately like reminded what having a lower end receiver with not as much power, or not as good of a power supply, like this thing's like super light, this Onkyo, it did not power those Polk Audio RTI 10s at all. It wasn't even close. Like, it was so disappointing, because I was going to have those be my speakers up here. And I was like, well, I could buy a new receiver, but at that point, I don't want the audio to sound too good. That's something I probably should have started with. I don't want my living room experience to be anywhere near my home theater, because that's just redundant. It's a waste of money to have super high end or high quality stuff up here. But anyway, it does serve to remind me of what the difference is between having more speakers, acoustic treatment, bigger screen, a projector. I can watch a movie scene up here, like Dune Part 2 or Ready Player One, and yeah, it sounds pretty good. It looks good on this OLED. I go and watch those scenes in the theater room, and it's such a different experience. It's not even close. Again, I'm doing it purposely. I'm not putting a lot of money into this setup as far as audio, because I want there to be a big gap. But even with the TV, I got a 77-inch OLED. That's a pretty large TV. OLEDs have amazing picture, but it's not even close to the 120-inch, especially for 16:9 content. And yeah, the JVC is not capable of pitch black, perfect blacks. It's not as bright. I still think it looks more impressive. It looks not better technically, but I prefer the projector on a screen than this glass finish digital image OLED. It looks really sharp, but it doesn't have the same feeling of a projected image onto a screen. Also, the smaller size, it's just not even close to the same immersion factor. Audio wise, there's times where those dipole speakers sound like they're coming from behind me, bouncing off the wall and being up high like they are. It sounds pretty impressive, but it's nothing like having actual rear surrounds, having actual height channels, having the 4 subwoofers dialed in with REW with a mini DSP. It's not even close. It's even when I crank this living room setup up loud, it's not even close. So as far as the whole upgrade thing, yeah, if I need a reminder, how much, all this time and money I put in the theater room, how much better is it? I just got to come up here, watch something, go downstairs and watch it, and it's wow, it's not even close. So not that I really need reminders like that, but it is kind of fun every once in a while just to hear and see the difference, because it's significant. So, but it also gives me a good place to where I'm coming from when I was telling somebody one of my the first video about upgrades, he said he has the Onkyo 7 series receiver, and I'm like, well, I know the difference. I've had many Onkyos. I know the difference between 5, 6, 7, and 8 series Onkyos back in the day, and it was this from the 7 to the 8 was a huge difference. From the 6 to the 7 is a big difference. From the 5 to the 6 was a big difference. Even with these bookshelf speakers, I guarantee you, if I bought like a higher end, higher powered receiver, that just overall the dynamics in this room would improve a lot. And it's kind of like a test case scenario, like 5.1 versus 7.4.4. Like if I want to really be reminded of the difference, I got it instantly. So let's get to the question. Is a living room a home theater? And the short answer, no. I don't think so. Because I have both options. It's not even close. But it can start to become one depending on some factors. So if somebody has an ultra short throw, 120-inch screen, they got a 9-channel, 9.4.4, yeah, that's going to be, it might even sound better than my dedicated theater room. There's guys who their front two speakers might cost more than my entire budget for my theater room of $25,000. Somebody might have a Macintosh amp and two ridiculously awesome speakers that sound amazing, or maybe even 5 or 7 speakers. It might sound better than my theater room, but at the end of the day, if you got windows, you got doors, you got an open doorway or an open room, that's never going to be a theater to me. But as long as you got a really large screen and you got immersive audio, yeah, you're going to get a great experience. I don't technically consider that a theater, though. To me, it's a theater when, and somebody could do this to the living room, but you got to have a dark ceiling. You got to have a big immersive screen. Okay, you can have that in the living room. You got to have, I'm sorry for guys with their open rooms, a closed off room, whether it's a curtain or not, a closed off room, acoustic treatment, low noise floor, projector on a screen, whether it's short throw or not, still a projector off a screen. To me, that just has a different look, different feel. And you got to be dedicated. It has to be a dedicated room. Like, yeah, your living room could be a multi-purpose. You could have a drop-down screen. You could have blinds that completely black out your room. You could put doors. Like, I could put doors over here. And then it becomes a theater. But am I going to paint the ceiling black up here? No. Am I going to have like a dark front wall that makes the screen just like floating? No. Am I going to put a bunch of acoustic treatment in here? No. Even though you could do it and make it look nice, I'm not going to do that. But there's a line, at some point you put enough stuff, you do enough stuff to a living room, it's going to become a theater for me. But in general, a big TV with surround sound is a living room with a big TV with surround sound. It's not a theater. But the term home theater is a general term related to audio and video, whether it's movies, gaming, TV shows, or whatever. It's in the home theater category. But if you're talking about replicating a theater at home, I don't think a living room does it, especially here. I mean, you see my cat up here. I got a cat tree. I got like scratching posts. I got big window. I got lamps. Like, that's not a theater. There's just no way. I would say 100%. Mine's not a theater, but even like home theater gamer, like, he's got a dedicated room. He's got black and all that. It's definitely a home theater. Even with a TV, he doesn't have much room to do anything else. There's nothing more really he could do in that room, but having a TV stand with equipment, a TV, it's definitely down a notch from an actual theater experience. I think, like I said earlier, having a project onto a screen, getting light bouncing off, that's the closest you can get, unless you have an actual film projector. So anyway, I'm sure some of my takes are not going to go over well with some guys, but that's fine. Everybody has different opinions. There's nothing wrong with having different opinions. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.